Have you ever stopped to wonder how a single morning could change everything? Picture this. A 71-year-old man, let's call him Mr. Thomas, woke up today in his quiet suburban home. The sun was just peeking through the curtains, the birds were chirping, and the scent of fresh coffee lingered in the air. He'd spent decades building a life of routine, walking his dog, tending to his roses, and sipping tea on the porch. To everyone around him, he seemed healthy, vibrant even. Yet this very morning, he collapsed in his backyard, leaving his family in shock and his neighbors whispering, "How could this happen?" His sudden passing forces us to ask, what silent dangers might be hiding in the habits we take for granted every day? In today's video, we're diving deep into the lessons we can learn from Mr. Thomas's story, lessons that could save your life or the life of someone you love. We'll uncover 3 morning habits that might seem harmless, but could be secretly eroding your health, especially as you age. From the surprising risks of skipping breakfast to the subtle strain of overdoing it too early in the day, we'll reveal what you need to know to protect yourself. Stick with us until the end, because not only will you walk away with practical, life-changing tips, but you'll also discover how these small shifts can build a legacy of strength, wisdom, and vitality for your family and beyond. Plus, I'll share a personal story that brought these truths home for me in a way I'll never forget. Before we begin, if you find value in this message, please give this video a like. It helps me keep sharing these lessons with others. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss a single update. And if you're with me on this journey, drop a 1 in the comments below. I'd love to know you're here. Now let's get started. Imagine your body as a finely tuned engine, one that's been idling peacefully all night while you sleep. After hours of rest, it's low on fuel, quietly humming along as it repairs and recharges. Now imagine revving that engine to full speed without filling the tank. That's exactly what happens when you leap into physical activity on an empty stomach, especially as you age. For Mr. Thomas, this might have been the tipping point. His neighbors said he loved starting his day tending to his garden, digging, lifting, pruning, all before his morning toast. It seemed like a healthy habit, but could it have been the silent spark that led to his collapse? As we get older, our bodies demand more care, not less. It's a gift we owe ourselves after years of hard work and resilience. Skipping breakfast and diving into strenuous tasks, like gardening or a brisk jog, can strain your system in ways you might not feel until it's too late. After a night of sleep, your blood sugar levels are low, your muscles are starved for energy, and your heart is still waking up. Add physical exertion into the mix, and you're asking your body to climb a mountain without a rope. For seniors, this can spike adrenaline, raise blood pressure, and even trigger a cardiovascular event like a heart attack or stroke. Let me share a story that hit close to home. My uncle, a spry 68-year-old, used to boast about his morning routine, chopping wood for the fireplace before dawn. No breakfast needed. "Keeps me young," he'd say with a grin. Until one winter morning, he felt a sharp chest pain and barely made it back inside. The doctor later explained that his empty stomach had left his heart vulnerable, amplifying the strain of his early exertion. He was lucky. It was just a warning. Mr. Thomas wasn't. So what can we do? Start your day with fuel. A light breakfast, like a bowl of oatmeal with berries or a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter, gives your body the glucose it needs to power your muscles and brain. Pair it with a glass of water to wake up your system gently. Then ease into your day with low-impact movement, a stretch, a slow walk, before tackling anything demanding. These small acts of care aren't just about avoiding danger. They're about honoring the body that's carried you this far. If you're still with me, comment 1 below. Let me know you're taking this first step with me. Here's a question. When your alarm goes off, do you spring out of bed like a jack-in-the-box ready to conquer the day? It's a habit many of us pride ourselves on. Efficiency, energy, action. But for Mr. Thomas, this might have been another hidden risk. Neighbors mentioned he was always up at dawn, bounding out of bed to start his chores. What if that sudden leap from rest to rush played a role in his final morning? As we age, our bodies need a gentler transition from sleep to activity. Picture your circulatory system as a river that slows to a trickle overnight. Your heart rate drops, your blood pressure dips, and your limbs take a backseat to your core. Jumping up too fast is like opening a dam without warning. Blood struggles to reach your extremities, leaving you dizzy or unsteady. For older adults, this can trigger something called orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure that's more common than you'd think. Symptoms? Lightheadedness, blurry vision, or even a fall. And falls, my friends, are a leading cause of injury for seniors. Broken hips, bruised spirits, and months of recovery. I saw this firsthand with my grandmother. At 73, she was the type to leap out of bed the second her eyes opened, eager to feed the chickens or start breakfast. One morning, she stood up too fast, swayed, and grabbed the nightstand just in time. Just a dizzy spell, she laughed it off. But when it happened again a week later, this time landing her on the floor with a sprained wrist, I realized this wasn't a joke. Her doctor confirmed it. Rushing out of bed was risking more than a bruise. Here's how to protect yourself. Treat your morning like a slow sunrise. When you wake, lie still for a moment. Breathe deeply, let your body adjust. Then wiggle your toes, stretch your legs, and roll your shoulders. Sit up gradually, swinging your legs over the side of the bed, and pause there for a few seconds. Feel your feet on the floor, grounding you. Only then, stand up slowly. It's not laziness, it's wisdom. This simple routine could have given Mr. Thomas a few more mornings with his roses. If this resonates with you, comment 2 below. I'd love to know you're trying this too. Sometimes it's the smallest moments that carry the biggest risks. Straining in the bathroom might sound trivial, but for seniors, it's a habit that can turn deadly, especially in the quiet of the morning. Did Mr. Thomas struggle with this too? We'll never know for sure, but it's a possibility worth exploring. After a night of rest, your body is still warming up, and pushing too hard during a bowel movement can spike your blood pressure, strain your heart, or even rupture fragile veins. This isn't just theory, it's personal for me. A few years back, my neighbor Mr. Lee, a kind 75-year-old who always waved from his porch, confessed something over coffee. He'd been dealing with constipation for months, straining every morning until his face turned red. One day, he felt a sharp pain in his chest mid-effort and collapsed. Paramedics said it was a near miss. A spike in pressure nearly triggered a heart attack. He laughed it off later, saying, "Who knew the bathroom could fight back?" But it stuck with me. As we age, digestion slows, and straining becomes more common, especially if we're dehydrated or low on fiber. That pressure doesn't just stay in your gut, it ripples through your whole system, raising the risk of hemorrhoids, hernias, or worse. So how do we avoid this quiet danger? First, hydrate. Start your day with water or herbal tea to soften things up. Second, eat fiber-rich foods. Think leafy greens, prunes, or a warm bowl of bran cereal. Third, adjust your posture. Prop your feet on a small stool to mimic a natural squat, easing the process. And finally, don't linger. Long bathroom sits add unnecessary strain. These tweaks aren't just about comfort, they're about dignity and longevity. Mr. Lee's scare taught me that even the private parts of our routine matter. If you're still watching and nodding along, comment 3 below. Let's keep this journey going together. Mr. Thomas's story isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a wake-up call. His passing reminds us that health isn't just about feeling good today, it's about building a foundation for tomorrow. Every choice we make, from that first sip of water to the way we rise from bed, is a brick in the legacy we leave behind. It's not just for us, it's for our kids, our grandkids, the ones who'll remember us not by our possessions, but by the time we spent with them, the stories we shared, the strength we showed. I think about my own family often. My dad, now 70, used to skip meals and rush through mornings, insisting he was fine. But after a fainting spell last year, thankfully minor, I sat him down. "Dad," I said, I need you here for my kids, not just in photos. That hit him. He started eating breakfast, moving slower, caring more. Now he's the grandpa chasing my son around the yard, laughing like he's 50 again. That's the gift of health. Not just more years, but better ones. What about you? What will your mornings say about you? Will they be a frantic blur or a mindful start that honors your body and your loved ones? Mr. Thomas didn't get a second chance, but we do. If this message is sinking in, comment 4 below. I want to hear you're still with me. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on some stories that bring these tips to life. Take Mrs. Clara, a 69-year-old widow I met at a community center. She was a whirlwind, up at 5 a.m., jogging on an empty stomach, proud of her grit, until one morning she blacked out mid-run, waking up in an ambulance. I thought I was invincible, she told me later, her voice shaky. A doctor explained her blood sugar had crashed. Her heart couldn't keep up. Now she sips tea and eats a banana before her walks, and she's never felt better. Then there's Mr. Patel, a 72-year-old shopkeeper. He'd bolt out of bed daily to open his store until a dizzy spell sent him tumbling down the stairs. A fractured ankle sidelined him for months. I wish I'd taken those extra 5 minutes, he said, shaking his head. He's slower now, deliberate, and still running his shop. These aren't just anecdotes. They're mirrors. They show us what's at stake. For me, it's personal too. Watching my uncle, my grandma, my dad flirt with disaster woke me up. I started asking, what am I risking by rushing through life? What am I teaching my own kids? Health isn't a solo act. It's a chain linking us all. So, what can we learn from Mr. Thomas's last morning? 3 simple truths. Fuel your body before you push it, rise with care, and respect your limits, even in the bathroom. These aren't grand gestures. They're quiet acts of love for yourself, for your family, for the future. Health isn't wealth in the way we usually think. It's not a bank account or a shiny car. It's the freedom to live fully, to be present, to leave a mark that lasts. Here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow, try one of these tips. Eat that breakfast, stretch before you stand, sip water before you sit. Then tell me, comment below with your number, your story, your plan. What stood out to you today? What will you change? I'm reading every word because this isn't just my journey, it's ours. If you've made it this far, thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's spread this message to those who need it. Drop a 5 in the comments if you're ready to transform your mornings. Mr. Thomas's story ends here, but yours doesn't. Let's make it a good one.